All right, welcome back in. We've got Amber Smith joining us now. She's a former Pentagon official under the last Trump administration and a former Kiowa attack helicopter pilot, served in Afghanistan. Amber, thank you for making the time for us.
Absolutely, Doc. Great to be with you.
All right, so we are very focused in on this tragic accident that occurred. This helicopter colliding with a regional jet. You've spent lots of hours in a military rotary wing aircraft. What are your first thoughts on how this kind of thing could have happened?
Yeah, so based off of my nearly 8 years flying as an Army helicopter pilot, over 1,500 hours of flight time, based on the audio and the videos that I have seen, it appears as though the helicopter crew called confirmed visual with the wrong airliner. Tower was calling them to confirm one airliner, and the helicopter crew was confirming another. So they were talking about two separate aircraft, and likely because of the miscommunication, the helicopter crew was likely looking at the airliner that was away from them instead of looking straight in front of them, and they likely never even saw the airliner that they ended
How
up
could they
flying
how
straight
could they
into.
deconflict that, Amber? That's really the is it just specificity of language, or is it on the crew to know, you've taken these kinds of commands before from the or this kind of update from the traffic controllers, air traffic controllers. How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
So I have a big problem with the message. Do you have the traffic? Okay. Do I have the traffic? Where? We are flying in the National Capital Region, which is one of the busiest metropolitan airspaces for the combination of helicopter and airline travel. So what the ATC, like, that works if you say, do you have the traffic? Okay, that works when you are in the middle of nowhere at night in Arizona desert and you're at a teeny Class D airport with maybe one other flight in the traffic pattern. Of course, do you have the traffic? It's the only thing in the sky. It's easy to confirm. When you're flying in a place like Reagan National Airport, where the city is well lit and lights can easily be confused with airplanes, and they were under night vision goggles likely. So all of those things, who knows what was going on in the cockpit? To my knowledge, they were conducting a check ride, an annual evaluation. So there could have likely been things going on inside the cockpit as well that people are not tracking. And Tower should have said, do you have the traffic at your 11 o'clock or your 12 o'clock right off your nose that you are about to cross their flight path? And he reached out to them multiple times, and it was always the same question. Do you have the traffic? There was no context to his question.
Mm.
So, Amber, as you look at that, they have paused the flying and training activities that are going on with helicopters in the D.C. area. You mentioned the difficulties, particularly at night, associated with being able to see all of that traffic. This is one of the busiest flight areas of the entire country. Does it make sense to be doing a training exercise at night in close proximity to national? In retrospect, do you think they'll look at this and say, hey, maybe there are better places for us to be conducting these kind of training exercises?
I think they're going to look at this and say, yes, there are better places for us to be doing training. The caveat to that is that the mission of this specific unit, they have this mission that requires them to fly on those air corridors down the Potomac River. And so I can see for the evaluation them having to ensure that they understand the airspace, they know how to fly where their mission requires them to fly, because this is their AO, their area of operation, where they are tasked with conducting operations. So they do need to operate there, and they do need to train. I want to see, as the investigation comes out, and hopefully they'll be very transparent with all of this information, I do want to see to what extent, because it has gotten far too congested with helicopter traffic, and it seems like some very outdated policies that were unsafe and did not mitigate risk in that airspace when it comes to the level of helicopter traffic in there. And I mean, I'll give you just an example. Sometimes when they do these accident investigations, they find other issues that are unsafe that may not be contributing to the accident, but just in terms of what's going on. The When I was in Afghanistan, my hard deck that I could not fly below was 300 feet under goggles. That was a rule because they didn't want us smacking into things. Okay, now here in Washington, D.C., the ceiling, not the hard deck, the ceiling, so the level helicopters are not allowed to fly above, is 200 feet under goggles. That is incredibly unsafe. Those helicopter pilots were not looking up. I guarantee you they were looking down. 200 feet above the water or above the ground is a blink of an eye. You have to be so careful to not crash into the water. So, because 200 feet in a helicopter is a wind gust. During the day, I completely feel differently. Under goggles, it is incredibly dangerous. So just my point to the policies that are in place right now that those helicopters are operating in are outdated, and they are not for the current load of helicopter traffic.
Do you think it's appropriate to analyze larger air traffic control questions about diversity hires, about overall safety as part of this discussion, or should that be tabled until the specific nature of what occurred here is understood?
No, because people's lives are at risk. I am as anti-DEI as they come because they put people's feelings above people's safety and people's lives. So we need to get to the bottom of this. If DEI is a factor, then it needs to be reversed and dealt with immediately. I also think parallel to some DEI is mismanagement, and maybe they go hand in hand. But why on earth was that tower allowed to operate as undermanned as they were? What is the standard for them closing down a tower and saying it is unsafe for us to operate at this manning level? And so far, to my knowledge, I haven't heard anything on that. I've heard that they are undermanned. The guy was, one of the tower operators was allowed to leave early. The tower operator that was there was doing the job of two people. So it's like, who allowed this to happen? Was that common practice? The other common practice is why on earth are they allowing helicopters to be cleared to fly under or immediately behind incoming commercial airliners on short final? That is so dangerous, and it is lazy. A helicopter can be told to do a 360 and hold for incoming traffic instead of giving helicopters giving them the visual separation for clearance. And we saw exactly the risk that happened with that.
Amber, really appreciate your expertise on this, and we thank you for making the time for us. We will talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Buck.
Yeah, Clay, isn't that, I mean, that kind of perspective, you just, unless you've done it, unless you've been flying close to the earth in a military helicopter with night vision goggles on, you can't really know what you're up against.
It sounds like potentially, again, based on the evidence, air traffic control and helicopter coordinating error. We'll see what percentage you would want to assess to both. I do think, again, the night training in close proximity to National Airport, I think they're going to scrap that to a large extent. Or, Buck, do the night training at like 3 a.m. I don't think they keep landing planes at Washington National Airport all night long, right? I think that they have a cutoff point. So if you felt compelled to need to continue to do night training exercises in the vicinity of national airports, runways, and airspace, it seems like you could say, okay, those training exercises now, they don't begin till midnight or later, and we're going to have them scheduled where there isn't the possibility of colliding with the jetliners that are attempting to land. That seems like a rational thing to me to do as you look at decisions pertaining to this going forward.
Let's talk about energy for a moment here. It's the name of the game. If you don't have enough of it, you can't accomplish what you need day in and day out. But that's where Chalk's Male Vitality Stack comes in as part of your routine. You're able to fortify yourself with the all-natural ingredients that will provide you the energy needed for that new exercise routine or for those long days at the job, at the office, whatever you've got to get done. Chalk is there for you. The Chalk Male Vitality Stack supplements include a leading ingredient that replenishes diminished testosterone levels in guys. Now, look, that happens as you get older. We all go through it as guys, but you don't have to just sit there and let it happen. You can actually take some chalk. The Male Vitality Stack can replenish testosterone levels by 20% in 3 months' time, according to studies. Maximize your potential this year with the help of chalk supplements. Use my name, Buck, when you go to the website, chalk, CHOQ.com. That's CHOQ.com. Promo code Buck. You will get a great discount on any subscription for life. Of course, you can cancel your subscription at any time without any penalty, but why would you? When you see the benefits of chalk, when you work this into your routine, you're going to love it. Go to chalk, CHOQ.com. Use my name, Buck, as you are making your purchase.